Good afternoon and welcome to our first OakBend Medical Center Happy Hour podcast. My name is Donna and I'm your host. I hope by participating in these podcasts, you can take away valuable information that can enrich your life. We are always looking for topics of interest, so please email us at oakbendhappyhourpodcast@obmc.org. Today I want to introduce Joseph Freudenberger at OakBend Medical Center. Joe is the Chief Executive Officer of a 3-hospital independent nonprofit community hospital system serving Fort Bend County and surrounding areas. In 2018, Joe received the Houston Business Journal's Most Admired Nonprofit CEO and winner of the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year in 2017. As of late, you may recognize him as the CEO on social media, providing valuable information and updates on COVID-19. Thank you, Joe, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk with us. How long have you been employed at OakBend?
I've been with OakBend since June of 2007, 13 years, and it's been a great ride.
Wonderful. Now, my understanding is the hospital has a rich history in the community for over 60 years. And how are you still maintaining that mission?
Well, we were established in 1947 by a group of very generous folks in Richmond who felt like the area was not there were folks in the community that did not have access to good quality health care. And in particular, folks that did not have the means to transport themselves or otherwise access Houston healthcare facilities. So even as of today, we opened the doors in 1950, so 70 years later, we still serve our community, most notably the community that does not have the means to pay, and have in fact included that in our mission statement, which is to provide exceptional, compassionate healthcare to the communities we serve, regardless of their ability to pay.
Wow. So OakBend, I remember, once was called Polly Ryan, and it was just a single entity, just one hospital off of Highway 90. But now there's 3 locations and surgical centers and all kinds of stuff. Would you like to expand on that?
Yeah, the hospital has changed a bit over time. When I joined the hospital in 2007, we had 1 facility, as you mentioned. Today, we have, as you pointed out, 3 hospitals. We have 4 surgery centers. We have in excess of 20 physical therapy clinics. We have 20 nursing homes. We have imaging centers. We are very diverse. We have clinics, physician clinics in a variety of locations in Fort Bend County. We have increased our revenues from a little less than $200 million to close to $1 billion. And we're doing the things we need to sustain our mission, because in healthcare today, that is not an easy thing to do, to take care of your community, the entirety of your community, without public support. We're very proud that we are 501c3, and we do it with the generous support of our community, but without any tax base.
Wow. So I think you explained it a little bit, but I'd like you to expand on what does a community hospital and a safety net hospital actually mean?
So a community hospital is the industry's term for a hospital whose primary orientation is providing healthcare services to the community it serves. That's as contrasted with a teaching hospital, who of course provides healthcare services, but whose primary mission might almost be described as teaching various different healthcare practitioners their craft. When we say a safety net hospital, that has a unique definition, and that is controlled or defined by the Texas Department of Health, and it signifies a hospital who is dedicated to caring for a population of folks who do not have the ability to otherwise access healthcare services, and hence the concept of safety net. So we are a backstop. Typically, safety net hospitals are publicly funded because their very nature is that they are serving sometimes a mix of a population, many of which may, or some of which may not have the ability to pay for their services. We're very proud that we serve the entirety of our community, not only the poor, but we also serve those with means. And in fact, the mix of patients is what enables us to do that without a tax base.
So who owns OakBend?
As true of every 501c3, we are owned by the community. There is no person or persons who take a portion of the income of OakBend as investment income or profits of the organization. Anything that we make above our costs, which is a very small amount, goes into the bank to pay for future services or equipment or things of that nature.
So you said you've increased revenues and all of this stuff. So how much does it cost to actually run an organization like this?
Well, a lot. So we basically spend all of the revenues we take in, and in a good year, we might keep 2% of that. And that's actually less than that. It's less than 1% of the revenues of the organization actually end up on the bottom line.
I hope our listeners are interested in this because it's always been a question for me and I've quite never understood. So insurance companies and patients pay the hospital for patient services. Yet most hospitals have a philanthropy program. Why, if you're receiving money from insurance and patients, does it require more money? And I think you answered that in your previous statement, but I find it fascinating and interesting because philanthropy is a big part of the organization.
Yeah. Well, safety net hospitals, by definition, serve a larger portion of uninsured patients than do other community hospitals. So in OakBend's case, about 12% of the patients we serve on an inpatient basis have no insurance, as compared to competitor hospitals that have between 5 and 7% uninsured patient populations. So we have to close that gap to some degree through philanthropy, because otherwise, obviously, if 12% of our services are uncompensated as compared to an industry norm that's more in the 5 to 7% range, it's going to be a difficult road to hoe.
You know, Joe, I've often heard that you don't just preach philanthropy, you are also very philanthropic to the organization itself. So that is shows how passionate you are about what you do and how you believe in what you do. In saying that, what do you feel is one of your greatest accomplishments?
I think, and I won't characterize it as my accomplishment, it's my team's accomplishment, but being an independent hospital in 2020 in an urban setting or suburban setting is very unusual in the United States. Typically, urban suburban communities are dominated by large healthcare systems. I don't believe that that's the best way to deliver care. I believe the closer you are to the community that you serve, the better you can tailor your services to the needs of the community. So I would say accomplishment one is maintaining that independent model and positioning ourselves to continue that independent model for the foreseeable future. The other, which I want to bring up, which you didn't necessarily ask, is as it relates to the more current situation with the COVID-19 pandemic. I am just incredibly proud of our team for having figured out how to serve this community and protect themselves. We've had no hospital-acquired COVID-19 infections of the staff in our ER, our ICU, and our COVID unit. I think that is a remarkable reflection of the commitment we have to maintaining the protocols that keep ourselves safe and enable us to take care of our community as well as we do.
I totally agree. How do you think, speaking of COVID, how do you think COVID is going to affect the organization, and what do you see for the future of OakBend after COVID?
So I think our whole world is going to be affected by COVID. I think we're going to learn that when we're congregating in mass, we're going to have to take precautions to prevent the spread of COVID. I don't believe COVID ever goes away any more than the common cold has ever gone away or will ever go away. As far as the organization is concerned, we're going to see the same things. We're going to use masks much more frequently when we're in public spaces. We're going to have meetings with masks on. We'll be doing more remote work as we're doing today. And but we'll move past this. I think COVID-19 will be just another disease that we manage in our society and within the healthcare system. As far as OakBend is concerned, I see a remarkably bright future because I've seen such a coming together of staff and departments. There have been times in the course of this COVID-19 pandemic where we have literally been overrun with patients. On July 7th, we had 15 patients holding in our ERs, waiting hospitalization. And we pulled staff from all over to manage those patients, because as you can well imagine, if you have that many patients waiting in an ER, that is going to overwhelm your emergency department staff. That was a remarkable level of teamwork that I believe is going to benefit us going forward and enable us to fulfill our mission of truly engaging every patient who is treated here, because we know that their engagement helps them get better faster.
I agree. And I'm going to digress just a little bit because we're talking about community hospital and all the things that OakBend has been able to do and accomplish. But when I say community hospital, and I think most people feel the way I do, it's a little hospital, but they can't do much. You want us to expand on all the services that this hospital offers?
Yeah, it's actually interesting. People think of community hospital in that context. It's not at all the case. You've got very large community hospitals. We're in fact a 275 bed hospital spread across 3 campuses, which is a pretty sizable facility. We offer a broad range of services, from our labor and delivery operations that take high-risk moms to our nursery that take high-risk babies. We have a STEMI program, which is a heart attack program. So if you're having a heart attack in this community, you can come right here, and since seconds count when you're having a heart attack, that's hugely important. We've had a certified stroke program for over 8 years. We have a broad range of surgical services. We have any testing that you can get at most any other hospital, whether they're a teaching hospital or otherwise. There are a few things that we don't do. We might not do a transplant. We might not do open heart surgery, but most of the bread and butter services that a normal person would need in a community setting are offered by OakBend. And we do it in a high quality manner. People oftentimes think that if you're smaller, you're inherently worse. But if you go look at the quality metrics that Medicare publishes, we are, like many other community hospitals, superior to the teaching hospitals in the quality of the care that we provide to our population. And when I say quality, I mean post-surgical infections, for example, or catheter-acquired infections. There's about 30 different indicators that are a reflection of core clinical competency. And we are outstanding to the point where we have 0 incidences of fallouts on many of these measures, month after month, quarter after quarter. It is something that I'm truly proud of.
I understand that this year, your biggest fundraising event will be different due to COVID and social distancing, and the need to expand. And it's a very big event for OakBend and something that we count on every year. You want to talk about the event and how it's going to roll out? Because I hear you're a major part of it.
Patchwork 2020 is going to be a lot of fun. We're offering our highest level donors, our $10,000 donors, an executive chef prepared in your house meal with a virtual wine tasting to accompany that. in advance of our live auction. At our $5,000 level, we're offering a catered meal with a wine tasting. And then at our $3,000 level, we offer a Mexican meal for 8, and at our $2,000, a barbecue meal for 8. Oh, by the way, the $3,000 level also comes with a pitcher of margaritas. So we think this is going to be fun for people to bring their family and friends into a appropriate socially distanced outdoor setting and enjoy good camaraderie, and ultimately to support OakBend and our safety net and community mission that we have.
And is there something for everyone on this? So if I don't have $10,000 to donate, but I feel the passion, what do I do?
We're going to give you access to a whole series of community programming from 3 to 6:30, where you can join in and watch local high school bands and drill teams and other types of community organizations present themselves and their talents. And we'll have a nominal charge for you to join us on that Zoom, which will serve as your contribution to the organization. And we will give you access to our live and our silent auction, so you can bid on fun baskets and that nature that might suit your fancy. Then at 6:30, we'll continue our programming while our table sponsors have their own programming. So we'll continue for our community events all the way up until our live auction, while our table sponsors enjoy a dinner, in whether they choose to be in wine tasting or not.
And Joe, if I can't make it to the event, or our listeners can't all make it to the event, how can they donate?
We'll have a button on our website where you can donate at any point in time. We will be, over the course of the event, we'll be asking for people that wish to contribute. And we're going to open up our silent auction in advance of the event so that you can bid on it. And there are going to be some items where it's a buy it now sort of thing, where you can say, hey, I'm willing to buy that item there, and I'll buy the price that is posted, and I won't wait for it to be bid up to that point or beyond. I take it now. So we'll have various different ways that you can participate, even if you're not available that evening or in person. But just as a reminder, as virtually all of us, you can participate from anywhere in the world. So Donna, don't tell me that you're unavailable. You step outside when that bidding is starting to come to an end, and you place a bid on the item that you have been looking at so long.
So Joe, can you give us a little bit of a taste of what's going to be on the live auction?
Yes, we are going to have rental, a 450-year-old villa in the hills of Tuscany is going to be one of the live auction items. And I personally have gone there. It is a 7-bedroom, 2-master bedroom, fully renovated villa built into a hill in Tuscany, overlooking an absolutely gorgeous valley, and with an easy driving distance of some wonderful vineyards, amazing restaurants. If you've never been to Italy and enjoyed the food there, it is extraordinary. And the wine is wonderful and inexpensive, and in all respects, it is a tremendous opportunity to experience something that not a lot of people have access to. That's one of several that we will be offering. We'll also be offering a large selection of spirits and wines and beers. So we're accumulating everything from top-tier gin, vodka, scotch, bourbon, wine. We're going to put it together in a big package for a little something for everybody that I think will get a lot of people energized and bidding it up.
Awesome. Tell your friends, tell everyone, come on in, join it. Let's make this the best event ever. If you have any questions, you can go to OakBend Medical Center at obmc.org and check out the information.
Well, our website is also a good place to go, oakbendmedcenter.org, and you can look under there for Patchwork, and you will get the buttons pressed to donate away.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So as we start to close, if you were in front of your staff right now and your physicians, what would you want to say to them?
I would say how very proud I am of the amazing work they have done. They are my heroes for having put themselves in harm's way to take care of our patients. And let me tell you, when this COVID pandemic hit, none of us knew whether the masks that we were wearing, the other two techniques we were employing to protect ourselves would work. None of us knew whether if we got sick, whether we would die of it. And you gotta imagine that and know that you have to go to work, not simply for the income you produce, but because your community needs you. And there were people for the longest time that picked themselves up and brought themselves into work despite being scared to death. And we now know that the techniques we have used have protected us, but at the front end of this thing, we had no such idea. And I cannot begin to express my appreciation to our staff, to everybody who put themselves in harm's way until we figured this thing out.
Joe, I want to thank you for joining us today and look forward to having you back again. A big thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Beginning now, set an intention and a relentless focus on living your life as the greatest person you can be in all situations. And don't forget to join us next week as we discuss getting over COVID and the emotional scars it leaves behind with our guest, Reverend Leroy Hodge. Thank you and have a great evening.